I keep looking around thinking they're talking about someone else, and it's really me. So I'm having that wake-up moment right now that I'm actually on the stage. So forgive me. It's cold. It's really cold. I turn around, and I put my back to the stove, and I lean against as breakfast cooks, and it gets warmer, and it feels good. And it gets warmer and hot, and I scratch and itch, and I scream so loud that my mother comes racing from downstairs. Because in Minnesota, even in March, it's bitter cold. I grew up in a place so small, 1,300 people in southeast Minnesota. Not only was the town small, the mindset was small. Conformity is the only way to survive. You grow in an agricultural community, you find a husband, you get married just out of high school because you're expected to be out of the house. When I was 11 years old, on Easter Sunday, I burnt my hand on the back of my dress because I was trying to stay warm by the stove. And a place so cold, it never accepted me. But I grew to find out why. I didn't belong there. I was planted in soil, and my roots grew. And a town where people really do love each other, even though they stick each other's nose in everyone's business. And because they know your aunt, they think they know you. And because they know what your uncle did when he was 16, they think you're gonna do it too. I had to fly away from that place. -5 degrees, on a blustery winter day without wind chill, bundled up where frost grows on your eyelashes and icicles form out your nose if you're not bundled up properly. I didn't belong there. When I was 17, we were getting ready for our senior class trip. Everyone's excited. In Minnesota, southeast Minnesota, most people don't leave our home state much, if often. They might go a few hours into Wisconsin to the Dells. They might go to Chicago once every few years. They don't go cross country. This isn't long ago. This is today. We were excited because our senior class trip is to Florida in March. And for the first time, our seniors get to experience what it's like to be in a t-shirt in the middle of winter. And all 73 of us board that bus, and we huddle on, and we're excited. I think we're listening to it wasn't really Snoop Dogg. It might have been, who knows, that music of that era. Red Hot Chili Peppers, that's what you're listening to. It still comes back. Our noses are pressed against the glass as we drive through state after state. We stop at a Waffle House in Indiana, and they have things we've never heard of. What are grits? And we drive, and we laugh, and we sing, and we get there. Just down by the Rosin area off I-4, and we're in Orlando. And suddenly the world is opened up to this small group of 73 high school seniors from Rushford-Peterson High School. Suddenly, our lives aren't so small. And I might have been the only person that day that saw hope in life and opportunity far beyond the projection of getting married and having kids and sticking to that town for the rest of my life come next year. We went to Animal Kingdom, and I'll never forget that bus tour winding through, seeing the elephants and the giraffes. Things we saw on TV and things we saw in the movies, but not things you really saw in real life. Some people might have gone to the Minnesota Zoo in Minneapolis, not everyone. Some people, this was their first time experiencing wildlife and nature, like real wild animals from Africa, right there where you could see them. And I prayed to God that day. I was like, God, I want to be here. I want to work for Disney. I want to work at Animal Kingdom. I want to take care of all the animals. I want to be a zookeeper, and I want to take care of elephants. And God, just please let me come back to Orlando. I want to be here. Fast forward. I built my life in Minnesota, did the managerial thing, built a career for myself. I was very proud of my life there. And someday that dream reawoken in my heart to escape Southeast Minnesota and go somewhere bigger. And I went to the Gulf Coast. I went down by Sarasota. And the beaches were warm, and the people were fairly friendly, sometimes. But I fell in love with Florida. And I fell in love with a man on a beach, which is kind of storybook. Yeah, I did write a little bit about that. It's called women's fiction, but it might be based on a true story. So this guy that comes running down the beach, and a day where I shouldn't have been there, but I had that nagging sense, just, Miranda, go to the beach, go to the beach, go to the beach. I don't have time for that. I go to the beach, and I was swept away. But this guy lived in Orlando. I didn't want to go to Orlando. Sarasota was great. I mean, beautiful Gulf Coast, sandy beaches, white sandy beaches. I wasn't going to go to Orlando. I came up for a few visits. And one day, when I was deciding, am I going to go to Orlando? Am I going to make Orlando my home? Is this really where I'm meant to be? Now, I never got that job at Animal Kingdom. And I'm definitely not a zoologist. But my path in life has taught me how to capture my experiences in words and in art. I write with my words, and I paint colors vibrantly, my emotions of what it feels like to be trapped and to let go. I consider myself an American abstract painter and have a unique following in places like Dubai and Cairo, Egypt, and the Philippines. And why the Philippines? I don't know, but they like me. And that's not something that a small town girl from Minnesota gets to do. But I feel blessed. And something about Orlando gave me the dream that anything's possible and that I could be anything I wanted to be. So that day I was driving up the road, and I'm deciding, am I going to live here? Am I going to make Orlando my home? A little over a year and a half ago. And I look up and I see Katie Way. This is Orlando.